This is AK reminding you to, yo, subscribe to the show. What you need on your 85-man roster to compete in the line of scrimmage league, the toughest league in all of college football, the conference that puts out the most players into the NFL. You know I'm talking about the SEC, and the number one positions that you need to compete is going to be the big boys. You need offensive and defensive linemen. Those defensive linemen need to be absolutely massive, be able to eat up blocks and put pressure on the quarterback and sack him at will. You need about 8 that can play first and second string and about 2 more backups, so you're looking about 10 athletic bodies that can play on the defensive line. You need nasty offensive linemen with long arms that can maul people at the point of attack, that can oppose your will all 4 quarters, and are without a doubt athletic enough to compete in pass protection. You need electricity at all skill positions. You need your wide receivers and running backs to have the capabilities of running sub 10.5 in the 100 meters, and you need them to be able to leap for 50-50 balls to make the touchdowns and look like gazelles beating defensive backs. You need physical linebackers that are big enough and fast enough to blitz, that can oppose their will at the line of scrimmage and make plays up in the secondary. You need versatile defensive backs that can make tackles one-on-one, that can play in the slot in the phone booth, and have the speed to cover those wide receivers that can run 10.5 in the 100. And welcome back to the Eyes on Texas channel, your source of breaking horns news and video highlights. I'm AK, and I'm back here with a recruiting video with you today, talking about, are the Texas Longhorns ready for the SEC in the class of 2023? What's up? I'm AK, everybody, and the topic has came up to the channel multiple times. It has been brought to the board multiple times, and I'm here to discuss it. The fact the University of Texas and the Longhorns coaching staff are attacking SEC bodies, more specifically their SEC bodies. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please like this video and subscribe, as it does help out the channel grow and proceed on to the next level. With that being said, what does Texas need? Number one overall, they need large athletic humans to compete in the SEC on both sides of the ball. The SEC is a collision league, and those collisions are provided at the line of scrimmage at the point of impact. And without a doubt, the best way for me to figure that out if the Texas Longhorns are recruiting in the SEC level is to see how many big athletic bodies they are in fact recruiting. And how we're going to go do that, I'm going to compare how they used to recruit and contrast it how we are recruiting in today's level, So I'm going to go back all the way to the class of 2017 to really see how progression has been made as far as recruiting SEC bodies. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the big boys. I'm going to go ahead and start with the 300-plus pounders. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the guys who weighed over 300 pounds in every single recruiting class. And straight up off the bat, in the class of 217, you have Sam Ellender coming off right off the bat. But as you can see, athletic bodies across the board, but not a one are going to be 300 pounds. You have a couple of guys that are really close. You have Cade Brewer here, who was on the 40 for about 6 years. Samuel Cosme, the interior offensive lineman, did some good things for us on the 40. But with that being said, in 2017, no large bodies. Backing up my statement, moving on to 2018. Well, we're starting out with Caden Stearns, and this was going to be the year that we did, in fact, boost up the secondary. I do believe we had 3 5-star defensive backs. But starting out with Caden Stearns, BJ Foster, absolutely athletic bodies, without a doubt SEC bodies, but not the 300-pounders that we're looking for right here. But in 2018, the University of Texas Longhorns did, in fact, get 2 300-pounders. Starting out since day one pretty much well, Keandre Colburn, 6'1", 330 pounds, starting off right off the bat here. And finishing up with the second 300-pounder in the class, we're going to have Mike Grady. Not know much of his contribution to the offense, but 2 300-pounders in the class of 2018. Much improvement over the previous class, but not exactly 100% what we are looking for. So scrolling back up to the top, the class of 2019, where I do want to fact that we are getting a little bit closer, as this is the Brew McCoy saga started out here. If you don't know Brew McCoy, did he go to Texas? Did he in fact go to Texas? He ended up going flip-flopping back and forth. I do believe the young man is having some problems now, but not the topic of this video. But what is the topic of this video is 300-pounders right now. We have Tyler Johnson, 6th Street's own Tyler Johnson, 6'5", 308 pounds. Not exactly panning out for the University of Texas, but at least we were trying there with the big bodies there. Moving along, we have Javon Shepard, 6'6", 327 pounds. And in 2019, I do want to display that we did in fact have 3 humans that weighed over 330 pounds. And rounding out the big bodies here, 6'7", 330 pounds, Willie Tyler. 2020, not a 1. We, the Texas Longhorns, ranked in the class of 2020 as ranked number 9th overall, but not a human at all was over 330 pounds. Excuse me, over 300 pounds. Bijan Robinson, without a doubt, an absolute stud, an absolute playmaker for us, but not one of our offensive or defensive linemen did in fact weigh 300 plus pounds. So moving on to the 2021 commitment list, as you can see, the Texas Longhorns finished out 15th overall. In December is where we're going to have the transition from Tom Herman to Steve Sarkisian, as Steve Sarkisian took over. At the top of my head, I believe it was December 2021. And as you can see, check out the 300-pounders, the players that are going to be athletic bodies that moved on to the next level of 300 pounds. We have Hayden Connor as the only 300-pounder, but we did start getting our electric playmakers in other positions, as we did sign the number 1 player probably who helped us out overall in this class, without a doubt, freshman phenom sensation over there. You can see him from Fresno, California, Xavier Worthy, 6'1", 160 pounds. So here we go, talking about the class of 2022, the number 5th overall ranked overall class, number 1 in the Big 12, where we did in fact sign 6 300-plus pounders. Started out with a couple of 5-star offensive linemen. DJ Campbell, 6'3", 310 pounds. Kelvin Banks, both in-state Texas commits, 5-star, 6'5", 300 pounds even. I did say we did in fact sign 6, so that means we do have 4 more. Moving on down the list, we do in fact have Malik Ogbo, 6'6", 320 pounds. Cole Hudson, 6'5", 312. And we have Aaron Bryant, the defensive lineman, 6'4", 306 pounds. And the big boy from Duncanville, Texas, 6'5", behemoth weight, 360 pounds. And I believe that is the last one. So moving on from the old big style 12 bodies, not quite bullying people around, into the SEC, where we want large human. Coach Kyle Flood wants large humans. He likes them rangy, can without a doubt maul people in a phone booth, and without a doubt can drop back in pass protection. And moving on to where we currently stand in the class of 2023, where the University of Texas Longhorns currently holds 18 commits, is currently 4th ranked overall, and has 4 players with a mass of 300 pounds, including Jaden Chapman, as you can see, the 6'4", 300-pound interior lineman from Harker Heights, Texas. Moving on down the list, we have Sadir Mitchell, another recent commit, 6'5", 335 pounds. Connor Stroud, 345 pounds himself. And finishing out the 300-pounder list, 6'6", 330 pounds, Andre Koje. And when we're talking about these guys, we're talking about this list in the class of 2023, specifically the 4 offensive linemen that did commit on the one day. Andre Koje is going to be a first-time offer by Coach Kyle Flood. He was the first person to offer this young man. The same can be said with Connor Stroud, although he was a legacy of Texas A&M. The 6'6", massive human, 345 pounds, was also going to be another person that was first identified by Coach Kyle Flood. Jaden Chapman was not first offered by Coach Kyle Flood, but without a doubt was influenced by the other three that were committed, that were first offered by Coach Kyle Flood in this class of 2023. Electric playmakers at the skill positions. Enough with the big boy and on with the guys who catch the ball and run the ball with it in their hand and excite us on Saturdays and make an impact on Sundays. With that being said, I said you need guys that can run 10.5 sub 100 meter dashes. You need guys that are versatile, that can stretch the field all over the gridiron. You need guys like Xavier Worthy is going to be my number 1 overall prospect, my number 1 overall guy that the University of Texas has landed. That is going to be an SEC body, an SEC wide receiver, a gazelle at the position, can burn you in the slot, can burn you out an island one-on-one. He had almost 1,000 yards receiving, had 12 touchdowns his freshman campaign, and was an absolute beast within the football field. And that's going to be the kind of sort of guys that we're pointing out. And going back to 2017, we were recruiting big style bodied wide receivers under the previous staff, under Coach Tom Herman. So highlighting Xavier Worthy here, I'm just going to give him his flowers talking about this prospect as I do sync him up here for you. He is 6'1", 160 pounds. You can nationally see him as the number 8th wide receiver. But to me, in the class of 2021 and what he did provide his freshman season, he was the most explosive freshman wide receiver I did see. Some notes on X Worthy as we get started out on his highlight was Xavier Worthy time, and he shined throughout the season, being the go-to wide receiver for the Texas Longhorns. Moving from electric playmakers on the offensive side of the ball to defensive playmakers on defense, and talking about Jameel Johnson, a safety, 6'1", 185 pounds, 4-star prospect, was the first commit in the class of 2023. Moving on to another safety, 5-star Derek Williams, most definitely a bang, and can also cover defensive back. 5-star recruit, 6'2", 185 pounds, from Louisiana, and Texas is recruiting the boot and dragging out players. As you can see, they get the number 1 overall player, the number 1 overall prospect in the nation, also from the boot, 6'4", 215 pounds, Isidore Newman's Arch Manning. But we're talking about versatile defenders here. You can see Jameel Johnson at the safety position, Derek Williams at the safety position, Samaje Burrell, a versatile linebacker that without a doubt cover and can also be a playmaker inside the box and smash on some linebackers and hopefully build up the weight that can shed off some block at the point of impact for those guards and offensive tackles that are trying to block him. Sadir Mitchell, without a doubt, a point of impact player, nose guard, 6'5", 335 pounds, absolutely an athletic defensive playmaker body that we do need. Linebacker, Mr. Liafo, 6'1", 210 pounds, side-to-side, line-to-sideline linebacker, 4-star, another one in the class of 2023 as it automatically goes on. Billy Walton, an edge. He can play also a little bit of a linebacker and drop back a little bit for you, an athletic playmaker. Going to blitz off the edge and drop back in coverage for us. And finishing out that defensive side of the ball in the class of 2022 was, in fact, Bill Walton. And Texas is yet to be finished on the recruiting trail in the class of 2023 as top prospects are still on the board. David Hicks, the number 1 defensive lineman in the great state of Texas. Heck, the number 1 player overall in the great state of Texas is still on the board. Can the Longhorns get an official visit from Katy, Texas's defensive lineman? Ant Hill still on the board, down to the University of Texas and the Aggies, 1 and 2 coming down there. So the list goes on and on for the top prospects. Cedric Baxter still on the list for possible commits for the University of Texas in the class of 23. Colton Vaxick, the rangy edge, the hometown prospect, going to be from Westlake, Texas, coming out of Austin. Can the hometown prospect stay home? Will he stay home, or will he, in fact, go quack with the Ducks up in Eugene? Smashing it on the recruiting field, as you can see, getting out all their top choices in the class of 2023. Moving on the offensive side of the ball, this is where I'm going to end up talking about this list, I'm talking about Deuce Robinson, 6'6", 225 pounds, a playmaker in the slot, a playmaker all over the field. Is he a tight end? Is he more of an H-back? He's a playmaker at the weapon of offense. Nationally rated as a 5-star overall player. He is rated number 17th overall. So it is going to be an impact on the class of 2023, an impact on the class of 24. But Texas is, without a doubt, getting their SEC bodies. They're getting their 300-pounders. They're getting their electric playmakers on both sides of the ball at the skill positions. Without a doubt, Xavier Worthy is going to be the top leading example on the offensive side of the ball as he boomed onto the scene his freshman season, getting almost 1,000 yards, leading the way for the Texas Longhorns with those 12 big touchdowns. Electric playmakers on both sides of the balls, devastating defenders, linebackers that can go on both sides of the ball, free range from both sides of the field, sideline to sideline, smack those running backs in the face and can still cover some in the flats for the defensive coordinators. Where will Texas end up in the rankings? Me personally, I think we're going to end up 3rd overall. I feel that we're going to have a hard time cracking in those top 1 and top 2 positions, basically because of all the 3 stars that, in fact, we do have on board. But remember, those 3 stars, those are our guys. Those are our SEC guys. Those are our SEC bodies. I did, in fact, lead the way talking about Spencer Shannon, talking about Connor Stroud, as those are our SEC bodies. So don't be wavered by the fact that we don't finish number 1 or 2. I believe we'll end up at the class of 2023. I do believe that will be in that 3rd spot. But where do you think the University of Texas Longhorns are going to end up in the rankings? I believe that number 3 is where we will end up. But please like this video and commit yourself to the channel and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, keep your head in a swivel, your eyes on Texas, hook 'em up. This is AK reminding you to, yo, subscribe to the show.